Being calm is an essential characteristic if you want to act in the right way when adversities appear in your life, or even when you are walking towards your goals. After all, calm should not be used only for moments of pressure or stress, but also for situations where you are anxious and wanting too much to get where you desire. And why is being calm important? Well, it's because you will be able to control your emotions enough so that you can have a clean rationality and effective enough to go through the path of success. However, another point that is connected to calm is silence, a situation that proves that is when you are anxious to tell to someone about your plan, and then you go there and let it all out in a conversation with a friend, for example. But if you were calm, you knew that it was not appropriate to go around talking about plans, and with that you would be able to keep the silence. So these two characteristics are linked in a way, and that's what we're going to explore in this video. Let's get to the point. All that I ask you is to leave that like to appreciate the work done here, and if you are not subscribed, feel free to do if so inclined. So, let's go to the video. First of all, Thomas Shelby knows very well that this kind of attitude of talking about what comes to your mind when your emotions are running is a fatal mistake. You can realize that some meetings he has with his opponents, he is always quieter one in the room. To Thomas, this is very important. He often makes his enemy speak more than him because it is very simple. The reason he does that is because whoever speaks the most is the one who gives himself the most. So, when he plans for his opponent to talk more, Thomas is just plotting a situation that causes his enemy to throw in more information and even show him real intentions instead of him doing that. Do you understand? The one who talks the most is more likely to slip up and throw in some information he shouldn't due to the heat of the moment, and Thomas takes advantage of that. For those who have already seen the series, there is a sentence that Thomas says in the first season that just completes what I said, which is never trade in disadvantage. So when this advantage that Thomas trying to have by talking less provokes the enemy and lets him deliver in the middle of the speech, that's why you must learn to be calm and silent. And only with this Peaky Blinders protagonist situation, I've already given you two reasons for this. Firstly, your opponent can use the tactic of Thomas of wanting to provoke or instigate you without you realizing it, so that you say something they shouldn't or give up their game. Second, keeping calm and being more silent can dominate the conversation and make you be the one who will gain advantage in the conversation, instead of you being the person that talks more and then later feel regret of talking what you shouldn't. Has this ever happened to you? I'm sure that you already had a conversation at the time where you said more than you should, and then you later reflect on the who you spoke to and regretted having opened your mouth too much. You didn't notice, but you only said more than necessary because you let your emotions take control of you, and by allowing it, you left the irrationality slip. Therefore, it is necessary to notice this and realize that when emotion is speaking louder and a voice in your head is commanding you to say something, close your mouth. The ideal would be if you were the one who would ask the other person about something so that the other person doesn't interrogate you. Then you ask me, but how am I going to be calm if this life is a sea of pressures? Here's the thing. First, I already commented on this in this video. Maybe you didn't pay attention. All the emotion starts from a thought in your mind. You choose whether to control it and kill that thought, that is, not to think about it anymore, or whether to keep reflecting until you realize that you fed this idea full of emotions to the point of losing control of your mental situation. If you don't believe what I'm talking about, think about the following. Love, for example. You're there thinking you're the coldest person of the world, and out of nowhere you come across an extremely beautiful woman from another world with a beautiful smile. And so if you just pass by her and continue going on your way, soon that thought you created when you saw her will disappear from your mind and you will probably forget about her. However, if you happen to talk to her and go on a date, and well, you already understand how far I want to get. If all this happens, you will be more and more in love because you will be thinking and thinking about her all the time. The same thing happens with anger. If a situation arises in your mind that, I don't know, the teacher will give you a 0 on the test, and you keep feeding those thoughts it and just won't stop, reflect on it instead of trying to forget it and keep moving forward, you will just get more and more angry, and logically it will take time for you to calm down. So the first step is usually not feeding that thought that carries emotions. And why do I say usually? Well, let's face it, sometimes it's good to have fun and let the emotion flow in your body and mind. After all, we are not made just to be rational. But when you realize that emotion will get in the way, take this attitude and don't feed anything. This is noticeable in some attitudes of Thomas Shelby, for example. Of course you can't know what is going through his mind, but you can see that there are times when some character asks him a question, and instead of him feeding that question with some answer, he changes the subject or reciprocates with another question to avoid answering. After analyzing these attitudes of his, it is possible to conclude that he is also avoiding feeding these thoughts loaded with emotions when they would be harmful to him. Because conversation is a way to feed these ideas after all. If you're talking about that obviously gives space for emotion to multiply. The other tip I give to be calmer is to find activities that make you more controlled, like reading or exercising or even meditating. I read a lot because it calms me down, and at the same time it brings me knowledge, which becomes an advantage for me. But be careful, find an activity that calms you down, but only gives you advantages. Because sometimes you find something that calms you down, but that was actually hurting you, so be careful about it. And what about the question of being silent? Well, silence enters in a strategic way as a complement to calm. As I commented at the beginning of the video, if you talk less with the opponent, will be at a disadvantage. And in case the enemy decides to keep attacking you with questions, don't despair and don't even stress, keep calm. And with the help of silence you will be giving pauses between his question and your answer, so you intimidate the interrogator and give him more time to come up with a short, straight answer that won't compromise you, and you can even not answer. And if you decide not to answer, stay silent and focus on look in the eyes of the one who asked the question, because most people can't stand to be stared, and probably the one who will be asking you will be intimidated by your look. This is one of the great powers of silence, is that you are not talking nothing, but at the same time I was sending a message to the one who expects an answer from you. That's because silence intimidates, but not only, silence can be interesting and mysterious. There are different effects that the silent individual can cause. That's why I said silence must be strategic and together with calm. Because if you despair and lose this calm, will talk nonsense, or will it use silence the wrong way? Because there are times to be silent, but there are other times when it is crucial to speak, and then if you are silent when you should speak, you will end up giving an image that you are shy or that you don't have the ability to answer such question. So now you might ask, how will I know which question to answer? My response is, answer the questions that don't have the ability to affect your life and really essential questions, and the other questions just leave them unanswered or change the subject, or just say something short without committing yourself when see that it is a question that is clearly out of pure curiosity. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please leave a like. Share this video with your allies, and if you are not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. It helps me a lot and costs nothing. Anyways, thank you very much for all your attention, and I will see you on the next video. Stay safe.